Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. I hope you're all well and you're looking after yourself. Tonight's video is going to be my 2020 season review for the West Tigers. I'm going to go through their season, pick out one of their best players or some of their best players, pick out their best and worst moments, and that video is going to be coming to you very shortly. But beforehand, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you are enjoying what I'm making, then please go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you get notified when I do a new video. And just a quick thank you to everyone that supported the channel from the start, and to everyone that's recently subscribed, hiya. Just like to say welcome to the channel. So going back to the review now, the West Tigers season, they ended up coming in 11th place this year. Before the season started, I predicted them to come 10th, so I was pretty much bang on with that prediction. Now they started the year off with a victory over St George Illawarra in round 1 of the competition at Wynn Stadium, 24 points to 14. That's not a bad start, you could see. And then the next week, I think pretty much sums up the West Tigers, how they've been going the last couple of years. They've been very inconsistent, and they lost 42 points to 24 against Newcastle at Leichhardt Oval. I think one of their most embarrassing moments of the year coming round 4 when they lost 28 points to 23 against the Gold Coast. It was the Gold Coast first win in 364 days, just off the top of my head. And unfortunately it had to be the West Tigers that were the team that the Gold Coast beat to break that hoodoo. And then going through the year, it at times it's just been a bit up and down. Like they beat North Queensland and they beat Canterbury quite convincingly, and then they lose 2 games in a row, and then they beat Brisbane 48-0. And then they're going up and down again for the rest of the year. I think it's been one thing that Michael Maguire has spoken about this year, especially at the start. He said, "I'm sick and tired of these inconsistent performances. It's something that's plagued the club for a few years now, and it's my job to eradicate that." He's in his second year as head coach of the West Tigers. He inherited a side from Ivan Cleary, but I think he's had enough time to form a side, and I think next year Michael Maguire, if performances don't improve and if they don't meet the top 8 next year, I think there's going to be big questions raised whether Michael Maguire is the right coach to take West Tigers forward into the future. Now going into their, you could see players of the year or their best performers. You've got the likes of David Norfolumi, and he led the club in a number of statistics, most notably tries. He scored double the tries of the second highest try scorer, Tommy Talau, pretty much. David Norfolumi finished with 17 for the year. Benji Marshall, top try assist for the year, 17 try assists. The most runs, David Norfolumi, 385. The most run meters, David Norfolumi, 3,576. And to put that into context, the highest front rower that got the most meters for the West Tigers was Josh Alloway, and he got 2,464. So David Norfolumi run over a kilometre more than the closest front rower. He also led the club in line breaks, 17 line breaks, and he also led the club in tackle busts as well. The top tackler of the year was Harry Grant. He made nearly 100 more tackles than anyone else. I definitely see David Norfolumi had a smashing year. Harry Grant had a good year. Benji Marshall had a good year. I think the way that he was treated by the club was disgraceful. The fact that he had to find out through the newspaper or the television that he wasn't wanted next year, and it was only when he approached the club did he get an answer. Luke Garney, I think, had a good year. Alex Twal, he tried hard again. I also think that Luciano Leilua was a good signing for West Tigers as well. I think Luciano Leilua really tried his hardest, and I think he's once one signing that's joined the club over the last couple of years that's actually been a good signing. For Player of the Year, though, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I'm definitely going to go for David Nofoaluma. He led the club in a number of categories. He's been a smashing player. He might get picked for New South Wales, who knows. I really like the way that David Nofoaluma plays. He's someone that he goes looking for the ball. He's always putting his hand up for a hit up. He's one of the only wingers I see that he's all over the field, even though he's supposed to be on one edge of the field. You see him all over. I think he tries to think that he's a centre, a 5'8", and other things as well besides a winger. But he was definitely the Player of the Year for West Tigers. I think the signing of Joey Leilua was a failure. Before he even joined the club and before he'd even played his first game, he said, "I'm the best centre in the world," and he was shown many times this year to be not the best centre in the world. Russell Packer, Josh Reynolds, Luke Brooks, they were all terrible this year in my personal opinion. And Moses Mbai can throw him in there as well. Now, if I was to go for the West Tigers' best performance of the year, or the games where you could say, look, they play really, really well, and if you're a West Tigers fan, you could be happy with that. Definitely round 10 against Brisbane. I know it was Brisbane. I know they come up with the wooden spoon, but to win 48-0 at Leichhardt Oval in front of your home fans is a good win. They also had good wins over Canterbury. Round 7, 34 points to 6. That was a good win, even though it was Canterbury. And they also had a good comeback win over Manly towards the back end of the year. Round 17, they were dead and buried in that match, and they ended up winning that game 34 points to 32, thanks to some tries and some goal kicking from Adam Dwyer, or Dewey, however you see it. Now, if you were to go into their worst results of the year, you could definitely see the 42 points to 24 loss in round 2 against Newcastle, and then the corresponding fixture up in Newcastle. Newcastle beat them 44 points to 4 round 13. And then they also had a 50 points to 22 loss against Melbourne. And they also had the loss against Gold Coast, as I touched on earlier, 20 points to 23. That would be one of the low moments for the year. Now, going into the crystal ball for next year, once again, West Tigers, it's going to be another big off-season. It kind of sounds like it's Groundhog Day. At the end of every year, the media and people always say it's going to be a big off-season for the West Tigers, and there's going to be a lot of soul-searching. And over this off-season, it's going to be no different. The club's already made some inroads to fixing the roster for next year. They've already released 8 players, or they've had people retire, like Chris Lawrence. He was one person that retired. Benji Marshall's been released, but despite the protests from some of the people, either from neutral clubs or fans of the club, they set up a petition page for that, but he's been released. They've released a couple of other players, but I think one thing I'm not happy with personally is they haven't released the players that should have been released. Like, I think Joey Leilua should have been released, Luke Brooks, Russell Packer, Josh Reynolds, they all should be told to go as well, and Moses Mbai. All of them should be told to go. Michael Maguire's got a big job in the off-season on his hands. He's got to try to get the morale of the club back up. He's got to try to get the morale of the players back up. It's going to be a tough ask. They're going to have to try to recruit some players in the off-season. I'm not too sure if Harry Grant's going to stay around. He has come out and said if he's there, referring to Cameron Smith, that I'm not going to go back to Melbourne, so he might stay for another year at West. And I think they're going to have to recruit some players, and they might have to pay overs for some players, because it's going to be a hard sell to try to get players to come to your club when they haven't played finals since 2011, and they've also got this sort of unwanted reputation of coming 9th every year or thereabouts. So it's hard to see where West Tigers are going to finish next year, but I just have a gut feeling that they're going to miss the finals again next year, and there's going to be further pressure heaped onto Michael Maguire, and it's going to be Interesting to see how West go in 2021. But anyways, everyone, that's my review for the West Tigers 2020 season. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click that like button. And if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, click that subscribe button. Anyways, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Stay tuned for my next season review, which is tomorrow. It's going to be New Zealand. So anyways, everyone, I'll catch you all later. Tatty bye.